And a very good morning, good afternoon, or a good evening to you, wherever you are, tuned in around the world to the Intel Extreme Masters live from New York City. I knew you were out there somewhere. Okay, we've already had one very scary moment for God, aka Flash. He's now got to go head-to-head with a fellow Korean in the form of Curious. Before we get there, though, let's just check back with the bracket and show you how the group has gone through. This is Group C of D. We've got D to come. Curious winning against Don Regu 2-1. Don Regu was in great form yesterday, but not quite so good today. Flash has won 2-1 against America's State. And that also means that State gets another opportunity in the lower half of the bracket to come back and claim a place in the quarterfinals, which take place tomorrow. We'll also see that game tomorrow as well. But first here, it's the Group C winners final. Please welcome to the stage two fantastic players, Curious and Flash. And I'm going to hand you over to two very excited young men indeed. I know one man in particular loves the ultimate weapon, so he's going to love this matchup. Here's our commentary team for this one, Apollo and Nathanius.
Well, thank you, Red Eye, and hello, everybody. This is gonna be good. Flash versus Curious, the winners match of Group C.
Yeah, this is going to be a crazy match, pal. Two Titans coming in here. Of course, we just saw Flash take that 2-1 victory over State. Quite an intense match that was. And Curious just took a 2-1 win over Dong Regu to get into this position.
Curious qualified into the Intel Extreme Masters in the Korean and then Asian final qualifier through beating Innovation 2-1. It was one of the best games, the best series that I've casted all year. No joke. It was incredible. It really was a thriller of a series.
And it just goes to show how much of a threat some of these players are, not just the invited players, but Curious. You know, the Korean qualifier brackets, you said it, Innovation, there's big names all over the place there.
Curious stopped Innovation from being here. He was the one that stopped Innovation.
That's no small feat, Apollo. This ZVT matchup can be so punishing on both sides, but we're going through the map vetoes. Any thoughts on the maps that we already have? Polar Knight removed by the Zerg player, Whirlwind by Flash.
I mean, to be honest, preferences here coming in from the map vetoes. I just want to see what the last three are going to be, because they look right now that they could be just some three older style maps. Akalon, Belcher, Derelict. That's the three maps that I'm staring at right now as Flash decides what he wants to eliminate. Is it going to be Frost? Can it be Frost? What is it?
I mean, it's possible. I think the top three maps, you make a good point. It's something that the players are probably more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Would have a lot more experience. Frost was the most recently added map to the pool. And it is, looks like it's Flash's decision. Aster, he's going to veto Akalon Waste.
Okay, Akalon Waste is out. So Belcher, Derelict, and then Frost are all three maps. So first of all, let's talk about these two players as the map order is about to be decided. Curious has been a long time face in the scene when it comes to playing StarCraft 2 and Zerg. He's been in the GSL since the beginning of time, pretty much. He's always been a very dangerous player. Hasn't hit the highest of heights ever, but he's always a player that I look at can beat anybody. And it's shown that through beating Innovation that he can beat anybody.
And it's a good comparison considering Innovation and Flash, both considered very mechanical Terran players, don't necessarily win through guile or refreshing strategies, but more so with their macro, with their ability to just power out units nonstop and crush the opponent.
Yeah.
And, you know, you look at Curious being able to take out Innovation. Flash is almost on that same level, except doesn't have the success that Innovation has in StarCraft 2.
Yeah, I mean, let's just get to cut it to the chase, all right? Let's just get to it. Flash isn't as good as he was in Brood War. Not yet. If he ever will be, we don't know. He struggled against State. He struggled in the World Championship Series this year. He struggled at DreamHack Bucharest. Is this another tournament that we say, will he struggle again?
That's really the big question here. And the other thing you have to consider is that style for Terran versus Zerg is so uniform amongst the Terran players that Curious has the ultimate level of preparation just by playing any Zerg versus Terran. Flash has a lot to prove coming into this tournament. As you stated, there's no way he can get to the WCS World Championship at BlizzCon. At BlizzCon. Of course, he's got the earnings. This money doesn't mean as much to him as the pride does. Being able to come here, take one of these big tournaments, and remind everybody that he is Flash. He is one of the best StarCraft players that ever lived, and he wants to be one of the best StarCraft 2 players.
Let's hope he does, because this is where he can prove it now against Curious. This is going to be so much harder for Flash than it was previous against State. This is a new level of player that he has to go up against. Curious has many a different play style. Normal, aggressive, hyper-aggressive, very passive if he chooses to. Whereas on the other hand, I think Flash only has one.
Yeah,
I think he will use one strategy, one build.
Very economic styles, not taking too many aggressive risks in the early game.
Is that meaning that he will be too predictable in this series? We know he loves 3 command centers. We know he loves double engineering bays. Do you think Curious doesn't know this?
You know, one of the other things is when you're so high up and so revered as a player like Flash, all of your games are everywhere. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're loaded into the map Frost to kick off this series to determine who will go into the round of 8. It's going to be Curious versus Flash. Starting out on the largest map that we have for this best of 3 set up. Welcome to Frost, spawning in the bottom right position as the red Zerg player from Team StarTale, the Korean. It is Curious. Coming off of his win against Dongregyu, and now our Terran player in the top left in blue from KT Rolster, it is Flash.
Do you believe in Flash? Do you believe in him?
It's hard not to, Apollo. Even if he can't always pull through for what we want, we know he's there and working hard to make it happen. And that's really the beauty of StarCraft 2 is that there's always opportunities to come in and make magic happen, even when he hasn't been able to get those premier tournament wins so far in this game. And already we're seeing a lot of these SCVs queued up on the command center.
Yeah.
You said it, Flash likes to play that macro style. We are going to see it from him at the very least at the start of this game.
You know what, Nathanius? I've been in America a lot, actually, but I never noticed this. I've got a $20 bill here. And it says, in Flash, we trust. I didn't know you guys believed in him as well.
Well, I mean...
Look, it says it right there. In Flash, we trust.
You have a point.
On your own money.
You know, it's funny because it's been printing for so long, they anticipated the arrival of Flash many years before. It was prophesized.
In Europe, we don't have that on our Euros. We think Flash is going to win.
Well, it happens.
All right, talk to me. What do you think we're going to see from Curious on a big map like this?
Well, he opened up with the hatchery first. The spawning pool is on the way. The Overlord, not going to scout him very quickly. If he chooses to do something like just not drone scout, if he has an aggressive build in mind, Frost, 4-player map, all spawns are available to these players. There's so many different options. Flash, strategy rather predictable. Even if he were to open up with something like a Reaper because there's cliffs on this map, the transition is generally the same. 3 command centers, Hellions. If Curious wants to punish this, there's always that potential to go for something like a fast roach play or even a speedling attack, especially considering that tendency that he has to play this macro style.
Okay. Well, I am standing here as a fan watching these games. I really want to see how this is going to unravel, and I'll try my best to explain it to all of you. You know, with the command center first here for Flash, clearly playing towards his very predictable style. To be honest, I don't think there is... Okay, so let's just talk about the predictability of Flash. There isn't really anything else he can do, to be honest. I mean, what is he going to do? Go for Blue Flame? Is he going to switch up and go for some kind of combat shield timing, stim timing? There isn't many options to choose from.
I mean, it's not so completely ridiculous to say that Flash doesn't have a few trick builds up his sleeve. We've seen him pull off mech strategies recently. Nothing absolutely terrifying, as it were. But he does have a couple of one-off builds. The problem with that is that, generally speaking, these weren't against players of Curious's caliber. Going up against him in this scenario, I think it's one of the situations where Flash might be predictable, but it's also what he's best at. And it's one of those situations where you really have to just stick to your guns as a Terran player.
Well, a player like Innovation, even though he does the same thing over and over, he finds ways to win, even though they know what's coming. Well, let's hope Flash can do the same here, as he is going to go up against a very dangerous opponent in the likes of Curious, who has opened up very normal himself here, is going up to 4 queens, has now added on double gases on the natural, will be looking towards getting that Zergling speed with the first 100 gas he gets, looking to get the double evolution chambers into this game as fast as possible. And as we see, there is that third command center.
This is typical Flash. A lot of Terran players really employing this strategy if they choose not to go for something aggressive. Of course, Curious holding the towers very early on, not doing too much poking, and we should see some level of Hellion production. He's just now swapped the factory on. There they begin the production. Should see a tech lab on the barracks as well, just moving things up. The question is, and we kind of saw a little bit of deviation as far as the strategies go. We saw another Terran player do a very similar style hack, and he went for his barracks before he got his engineering base. He wanted to focus on the production, and that's another question of the predictability of Flash. Are we going to see engineering bays, or are we going to see barracks come out first from him?
Well, the one thing that we can safely say here is that Curious knows he's playing against an opponent who's gone 3 command centers. The Overlord's now going to fly into the main base, he's going to see that, and has actually decided not to turn around here. He's very curious to find out whether it's double engineering bay or whether it's a starport for maybe Banshee play behind this. If it is extra barracks, he couldn't quite get in there. But notice one thing, he actually decided, instead of with the next 250 gas that you bank after getting Zergling speed, he decided to get Overlord speed here. He really wants to find out what's going on.
And having access to information is so useful. We do see Flash adding on the double engineering bay first, but an interesting thing as far as his predictability goes, he did put out a few Marauders early on. He wanted to have that little bit of a security blanket. He's got at least one in that bunker in the event that there were roaches. His SCVs did not get the scout. His Hellions just going to try to run straight into the natural expansion. Even these slow Zerglings, slowing one of them up, picking off one of the Hellions before they can even get in to do damage. Another one caught in the mineral line here. He's going to try to pick off a few of them. No significant shots yet. Does manage to grab at least 3 drones with that volley. 6 so far for Flash. 2 Hellions left. Still has potential to do some more damage.
Small window, but he does well for himself. 6 drones there. Not bad at all. Of course, though, Curious, as this is going on, has replenished those drones immediately. But it is a small hiccup in Curious's strategy and just the way that he's playing this game. A nice start here for Flash, but now as we see, Curious is looking to find out what has been added on and when.
And now he spots the double engineering bay, and it's one of those situations where there's the potential. There's a few builds in the Zerg arsenal that revolve around a layer-based timing with maybe speed, banelings, and the +1/1. But Flash is moving out to take his third base. He's a little bit vulnerable. The speedlings could still do damage. However, Flash actually produced a few more Hellions past the initial 4. He still has 6 active on the field. A very smart way to be able to keep any type of speedling pressure away from that third.
Absolutely, and we are just seeing a very traditional Zerg versus Terran play out. The lair is on its way. I'm quite sure we'll see the Baneling nest added on as Curious floats in with an Overlord once again to scout all the additional production being added here. And this will go to the later stages. So if this is going to go to the later stages, this is going to mean that Curious will have to take a 4th, and the focus is going to be so heavily around that 4th. That's going to be the complete game, to be honest. Can Flash break it? Can he waypoint? Can he find a way to drop his opponent, start doing damage, slow him down?
Well, you know, you have to take into consideration so many things. The architecture of this map, there are the hidden alleyways on the north and south ends of it. It makes it running around a little bit easier. He still has the Hellions. He can still put on a bit of a pressured threat, but a lot of it will come down to the later stages. The armory is coming in. Both players, we might not see Flash get as active until these verse medevacs come out, and they're finally here, but it really comes down to how much he wants to extend himself. Keeping the Hellions at home might be a smart idea just to help defend against any kind of attacks. He's fully walled off the outer area of his third base to help keep that safe as well. And this kind of gives him that opportunity to get a bit more aggressive. He has a safety blanket of sorts to fall back on with that bunker.
And at this point, being so even in the game, Flash needs to do something now. If he doesn't deal some form of damage to his opponent, Curious is going to be very well easily defended against the majority of attacks that we'll see follow up. So we have the Hellions and a couple of Marines and Marauder in the middle, but we do have a drop down here south.
Yeah, the Overlords will be there in position to spot it. Of course, they have the speed, easy to get in position. And the Spire's on the way, but more Zerglings being queued up. He's trying to get ready to stop this. Now the Hellions pressuring the tower at the same time with this Bioforce, trying to split the attention of Curious. He does a pretty decent job of cleaning these Zerglings up. Picks off the majority of the Hellions, though, helping to deal with the line damage that helps to clean the Zerglings away from the Bio. These Marines will get shoved back for now. Tries to get into a choke point, but no luck there. Loading up into the medevac. And now Flash using this opportunity to pick off the creep tumors, deny the vision, deny the creep spread as Curious swarms this force to clean it up.
Yeah, Flash is doing okay. Curious lost a queen on his third base, so his production isn't quite as strong as it should be. Not having units being made from that third base, or at least not the queen's lava injecting into it. But so far, Curious is pushing Flash back with this drop. Flash has another army coming through the middle of the map now.
Flash is going to have a really good opportunity after he does a little bit of damage. He gets this drop moved away. His 2-2 is about a minute ahead of Curious, as if he can continue to bring this pressure, that's when the upgrade advantages have the biggest impact, trying to drop behind the extractor, but at the same time, all the while, killing these creep tumors, preventing Curious from gaining map dominance, being able to securely spread himself out, and like you said, take that fourth base. He does have it now, but Flash, continuing to bring the pressure, has not yet actually done any real damage to his opponent.
Yeah, Flash is creating a pathway off creep through the middle. There's one creep tumor that stayed alive and he's found it. Excellent, because with that could have been very frustrating. Now this creep will reside in the middle. It's going to start to disappear. But Curious, moving forward, there are a couple of Widow Mines to back this up. So far, so good here. I can't help but feel that Baneling Speed's a little bit late in this game.
Yeah, that's a really big hindrance, especially with the creep being pushed back. Getting connections on those Marines will become more and more difficult. Now we have Mutalisks coming out, 13 at once. Burrow is also on the way. We have the second factory coming into play. He's trying to get an engagement here. The Widowmine will Flash target, gets majority of the Banelings, and Flash, keeping his Marines alive, will continue to press towards his fourth. And as you said, those slow Banelings not as effective as they need to be.
And to be honest, this is a very good game. Flash has really stepped it up from the game against State. And now Curious must defend with slow Banelings. It's going to be easy for Flash to spread. He's got mines, he's got a bunch of Marines, he's got so many reinforcements coming in. And well, Curious is going to just about clean that up, but he is taking significant losses.
Yeah, nice bit of damage done. It's 82 drones, though, to 64 SCVs. Curious still has a lot of mining going on, but there's the rally moving across the map. Flash trying to bring this non-stop pressure. As long as he stops the creep from continuing to press out, he's going to slowly build an advantage by not having that speed boost available to the Banelings, to the Zerglings, and now he's pressing in once again. No Drilling Claws upgrade does make it a bit difficult to get into these positions, picking off a large number of the Marines, and as the Mutalisk count continues to climb, it'll become harder and harder to press into this without those Marine counts staying high.
And that creep is almost completely gone, which means there's going to be a bit of an advantage for Flash to fight here. Great pickoffs with the Mutalisk onto those Widow Mines. No additional drops. Curious is dealing with the pressure okay so far. He's been mining on that fourth base for a very, very long time and does have quite a large gas income. A lot of Mutalisks now, 11, are on the way out to join the ones that are already here. Baneling spread, Ling spread.
He's adding so many more Mutalisks. We have Flash with the 3-3 on the way behind this. He's landed the fourth, morphing it into a planetary fortress, trying to get on even economy with the Startail Zerg player, pressing in with this Bioforce towards the fourth. The Zerglings and Banelings are trying to come up on the creep. A little bit of a delay here. Now, the Banelings do get a couple of decent connections here, but this is a little bit of a difficult situation, I think, for our players.
I think so indeed, man. There's a lot of lag going on at this moment. Very difficult to fight in these positions as Flash pushing forward. I don't know what's really going on. And well, looks like we are going to pause it for a second. Both players experience some lag, as we don't really know what's going on at this moment.
It seems to be, yeah, we just have a little bit.
It's all three PCs from what I've seen at the moment.
I think
the Observer and the two casting ones, but we will try to get this resolved as soon as possible. Curious is in a bit of a tricky situation at this moment, you know? He's got a lot of pressure on the front door. The creep's gone, Flash is hungry.
Yeah, it's really a big deal the way he's been able to just get his fourth base up while doing this with almost no problem. The fourth base landed, security has the planetary fortress, and as long as he keeps bringing the pressure towards Curious's side of the field, there's no way that Curious can go for counterattacks. There's no way he can try to deny the Terran economy, especially without the creep spread moving across the map more and more slowly.
Yeah.
I will say the Mutalisk count is quite nice. If Flash overextends, there's a possibility for him to just eat up the rally line that's been moving down the field. He has 23 on the field. At the moment, there's 7 Mutalisks about to come out. So Curious still maintains a very high drone count at 87. He has a lot of potential here to do a lot of damage.
We're going to drop both of you out. Because it was your two PCs that it was definitely
All right. All right, so we just clearing up a bit of our lag issues here as we continue to get this ready. Of course, we can see the players obviously not happy. Sometimes technical issues do come up, but as far as this game goes, though, really tight situation between the two of them. And all right, we're just going to be exiting on our observer PCs.
All right, just had to speak to the admin myself, and he's said that the two custom PCs leave the game, so hopefully we'll resume it from here on out. I'm not too sure what's going on from this position anymore, Nathaniel, so hopefully things can continue all right. As Flash waiting, as you can see on screen. We will be jumping back into this game as soon as possible. So
Thank you for bearing with us. And it looks like the game may be starting here once again.
Yeah, Flash, of course, looked a bit distressed, of course. Never wanted to deal with that. And we are back in the Banelings trying to chase these Marines. Widowmine's taking a couple of shots. Nothing huge, though. He's still in a good position. Just needs to make sure he doesn't overextend into these Mutilisks. The medevac count is so high, helping this Bioforce stay alive. The Banelings pressing in, get a couple of detonations, but still nothing critical here to allow Flash to really get the position that he's looking for. He still has the Widowmines, though, giving him that safety blanket. He can always fall back on them, especially with 6 mules mining back at that 4th.
All right, well, things are continuing on here. Curious does have a bit of a supply advantage, 17 supply roughly, as things do get closer and closer and closer. But look at how much creep has been picked off here. Every fight off creep, Flash is going to be at a bit of an advantage. 21 Banelings coming in, that's a lot.
Yeah, especially considering that Flash has the 3-3 on the way as well. Having to constantly invest these resources keeps Curious from moving up intact. The Banelings try to rush in. The Widowmine picking off the majority of them with no creep. He can't get in position to stop this Bioforce.
All right, well, another attack here. So many Banelings, not as good spread that time from Flash. And he's starting to drop in supply. The Mule's count is so high. The medivacs are getting picked off. And looks like Curious has put a halt to the waves of Flash, dropping now to 137, 38 supply. And Curious from this position says, all right, great, I'm doing fantastic. Time to throw down the infestation pit and look for a different angle. And this is good for him.
And he traded a lot of resources, but didn't really take too much economic damage. Picking off those Marines with the crazy high Mutalisk count that he's had keeps this option open to deal with the pressure and also punish overextending. He's continuing moving towards this 4th. There's only a single missile turret here, not too much trouble. A second turret to the left side, but still not enough to stop this if he wants to commit to it. And Flash kind of has to babysit his base right now.
And he's going to have to babysit more than just this base, because these Mutalisks can fly anywhere and anywhere. And behind all of this, Curious is getting +2 attack. It's almost finished. Ooh, a couple of mines there.
Could be devastating. And the Marines continue to try to grab this. Every time Curious just swoops in, grabs something, and backs away. Of course, he can keep his Overseers alive as well, trying to prevent the missile turrets from going up. Flash having a bit of difficulty here getting his supply back up. He's been having a really hard time, and a ton of Banelings just trying to bust right into this 3rd base. He's moving in, the Banelings, the SCVs all clumped up towards the left side. They're going to kill all of them. And Curious gets a fantastic trade here while still bringing the pressure with the Mutalisks at the same time.
He's going to start the hive now. He's going to look to go to Ultralisks. And at the moment, Flash is just playing so far from behind. He's always defending at the moment. A fifth hatchery's on the way from Curious. The mines have been moved, and he comes in and picks off these turrets as well. And Curious, as soon as you stop the waves of Flash, is commanding this game. But Flash set up this to try to catch them. Oh, fantastic move there from Flash. Oh boy, wow. Took out a lot of those Mules. Excellent move.
Seriously thinning out that air threat from the Startail Zerg. As long as he can get himself situated and shove this force back to the point where Flash can once again get on the aggressive. There's still not too much creep spread, but these Mutalisks are so active on the field. And as you say with that hive, Flash does have the upgrade advantage. The +3/3 cannot start for Curious until the hive is done. He's getting the building armor as well to help reinforce these missile turrets. And once he gets himself defensively situated, he will be able to move out once again. And I think this little bit of time, not too bad either. He's been able to bolster his supply, but taking that huge hit at the 3rd, he actually is a little bit supply blocked.
Yeah, I mean, at this moment, Flash has defended his 4th with turrets. And as you say, this is the time to move out. It looks like he may have his eyes for that 5th base to the top right, realizing that's going to be the most likely place for Curious to expand from. But Curious, realizing the threat, 14 Banelings. He hasn't rushed down the Ultras Cavern yet. He's just getting the 3-3 upgrades of his own. And is ready for that threat, but can he defend against it?
Well, he's trying to hit this 3rd base. Once again, the 3 missile turrets, picking them off one at a time. There's so many mutants here. Breaks the wall. The SCV is exposed. Once again, Curious dealing a ton of damage. At the same time, Flash has a Marine scouting around for these bases. He's trying to start to make some sort of push towards this 5th, but Curious doing everything he can to pull Flash back at every opportunity.
Well, it's Mulus in the main base, and that's not going to be pretty.
Going for the add-ons as well. The drones get cleaned up at the 5th, but now just coming in, he's actually going to focus down some of this command center and the SCVs. Now, he does need to be careful about getting caught. There's not too much airspace to escape through if he does set up another trap like he did earlier with the Marines. Tries to catch them, maybe grabs 1, 2, 3 Mutalisks. Not a bad catch, but still has to protect this 3rd base. The missile turret on its own, not enough to stop this.
Curious is realizing at this point, sure, he could go to Ultralisks, but through killing so many SCVs, Flash is bleeding. All he needs is just a lot of stuff. And I'm pretty sure we'll see a big Baneling morph very soon from him. Well, actually, Infestors are the choice he's going to go for here. 3 Infestors and the Ultras Cavern. One thing, as long as he defends against this next attack, he's in the driving position to win game number 1 if he defends this push.
Yeah, Curious is in a fantastic spot. He's killed so many supply depots as well. With the limited economy that Flash has, he has to spend it replacing supply depots, not even building as many units. For trying to produce 14 Marines at a time, he has the infrastructure, but he needs the money. And now he's trying to get situated on this base. The Banelings pick off a few of the Widow Mines before they can even finish burrowing. That creeps right here. And the 4th base, the Banelings gonna just try to kill all of the SCVs, throws them into the planetary itself, finishing off the command center on its own. And now Flash has no more mining bases. His 3rd base, almost no SCVs there to even pull in any money.
It's 1 army, and that's it. That's all Flash has. He has no money in the bank. He has no money left. This is it. If Curious cleans this up with the new units he's making and soon to have 3-3 on them, then he wins this game.
The Banelings do manage to dodge a couple of Widow Mines picked off by those Marines, and Flash is very patiently sitting outside this base. He realizes and recognizes the urgency of the situation. He's managed to shut down everything outside of the 4th base, but he still needs to take a perfect engagement here as Curious has a little bit of money to mine. He's moved his remaining SCVs to what was the 3rd base, and now we even have that +2 flyer carapace coming in to help these Mutalisks have a bit more staying power versus the Marines.
Very soon, Curious is going to pounce. He's going to attack this location. He's picking off a couple of loose Widow Mines. Another counterattack has been set up. 1 more Widow Mine. Oh, dearie me. Now, Flash has no Widow Mines with that army. He has a couple at this north position here, but that 1 army he's got is running back. And now this is just going to open up a big window for Curious to say, okay, time to build Ultralisks. 2 in the production tab. And if those Ultralisks enter this game, then I'm afraid there's nothing. There's 1 Marauder in production.
Flash doesn't have the economy to make a switch into producing the Marauders. He's churning out the Marines, which he still needs to deal with this many Mutalisks that have been constantly harassing back and forth. Has a force on the right side of the map. These Zerglings trying to clean that up without too much difficulty. And Flash, you know, the other problem with this is as long as he has a slow econ, trying to put out bio means cutting out the extra Widow Mines, cutting out the extra Medivacs, a 3rd Ultralisk on the queue, rebuilding that 5th base, and the Mutas just never stopping this pressure.
Mutalisks do fly back out. Flash still without a mining 4th base, in trouble. Well, picks off the Mutalist there on the left-hand side. Obviously the Widow Mines have been trying to target it down. 2 Medivacs here, not bad.
Very nice catches. Gets a nice Baneling detonation. I think it was burrowed on those Marines. Not able to finish them off, but we're really seeing here how Curious was able to take off games like Innovation and defeat him in the qualifier with how well he's played this. But Flash has managed to get that supply back up closer to 200. He has at least 1 more chance. He doesn't have a 4th command center landed anywhere, but if he can win this fight well enough that he has enough to overpower what comes next from Curious, he still has an opportunity because he's denied any further bases from the Zerg player.
Yeah, there's no 5th base right now, and that's a problem for Curious. But great Mutalist micro, by the way. Just picking off any loose units, any loose Medivacs, looking for that 4th command center, see if it's there or not. He's going to drag his opponent back, waiting for his plating upgrade, but he's got to be careful with these Mutalisks. There are mines, and there are Marines around.
3 to the left side could do a ton of damage if those Mutalisks clump up enough, but this is his way of just buying time. He's pulling him through the race through his main base, and just the Marines that come out, he can pick these off. He says, okay, Widow Mine here, that's fine, got a Medivac there, no problem. And he's still getting these free unit kills, especially any Marauders that he manages to kill with these Mutas. And now he's baited him all the way to the left side. There are still a good number of Marines here, but can't push into it quite yet.
And Flash is going to let these Mutalisks escape. And how many did he really lose there, Mutalisks? What, 1, 2? For running around, buying more time for his Ultralisk, killing off a couple of mines, Marines, loose units. Excellent play once again by Curious. And now the Ultralisks are pretty ready to go. Couple of Infestors to back them up, and if he lands the right fungals, it's going to go bye-bye army.
Yeah, there's just not enough Marauders to even give not even the tanking damage against this to help spread the Bioforce out. And even another Widow Mine gets picked off, trying to move to the front. Flash not able to get the position he wants. Those Banelings and the Ultralisks will chew this apart with the chitinous plating and the +3/3. Here he comes, moving into Banelings. He's doing a decent job of spreading his army. There are the Fungals. The Ultralisks getting on top of Flash's army. Supply for both players dropping, but Flash falling far further as this retreating force gets fungled into position. And Curious is busting up this ramp now towards the natural, even forcing this 4th command center, his natural command center, to get lifted off once again.
And 2 more Ultralisks, 1,500 minerals, 2,000 gas. Build whatever you want, Curious, because you are dominating this game. As he pushes Flash back, he picks off another command center. And unfortunately for Flash, time is running out. Widow Mines get picked off there, don't even detonate onto the Mutalisks. 6 additional Ultralisks. Flash, 100 supply.
This could be the hammer that comes down to finish off Flash from Curious. He has the perfect setup. He has the Mutalisks to deal with anything. Even if Flash could put out Marauders, he can't put out Marines at the same time to stop the Mutas. And he's coming in towards the third base, the last mining vestige of Flash. These Ultralisks in a bit of a choke point, getting some decent shots off his Flash, but trading cost effectively at this point. He doesn't have enough to replenish anything. There are the Fungals, the Ultralisks moving in, and the Mutas themselves might be enough to finish cleaning up the rest of this force.
That's right. Flash down at 65 army supply. I mean, overall supply, sorry. But there's so much army left at home for Curious, who's playing around with his food at this point. These units are going to get picked off very easy, and Flash finds himself once again in a difficult spot here in Group C. As the last couple of units are getting picked off, look at the mini-map. Ultralis just charging their way across this map, ready to finish the game. And as we can see, Flash is down, bleeding, and dead.
35 supply to 178. Not too many options left for the KT Terran player. GG Curious opens the series up with a 1-0 lead over Flash.
A good game from Curious, and it all went downhill from Flash when he didn't break the fourth hatchery. Curious mined too much on it. He got too much gas. And then all of a sudden, Flash found himself on the back foot having to deal with that high Mutalisk count. But Curious, very solid game from him. Very solid.
Yeah, great Mutalisk control all throughout. There was the one time when Flash had the trap set up to pick off a rather decent number of them. He did a significant amount of damage, but at that point the damage had already been done by Curious, hindering the production, hindering the economy, and the economy a really big part in this. Flash had the game. He had control of the tempo of this game all the way throughout, up until the point where his rally line ran out of fuel. Couple good Baneling detonations from Curious completely shut down the push. And once he got him off of his back, there was no stopping him from just continuing to advance and bring the game all the way back towards Flash's side of the map.
Now Curious finds himself in a position one map away from moving into the round of 8 to join a couple of players that have already made it there, Hyun and Hero, who will be the third definite player in the top 8 here at the Intel Extreme Masters. As Curious set to do so far, playing very, very well. But it's down to Flash, KT Rolster Flash. Can he make the comeback here? Can he make the comeback? He's got so much experience. There's nothing that should faze him. Nothing.
Yeah, it's one of the things, and it was kind of cool. Flash had done a bit of a blog talking about strategies in the game and saying it's always important to keep your cool. It's one of the most important things. No matter what you see from your opponent, you have to stick to your plan. And Flash, you know, when you're down in an 0-1 situation like this, he's been in plenty of competitions. He's played in so many tournaments, won so many championships. Being down 0-1 in a series like this is nothing new to him, but coming back versus Curious, defeated Innovation, took this first game, has shown that he really has a great grasp on this matchup, especially how to play versus Flash's style.
I love Flash, but I can't help but feel that Curious played better in game number 1.
Yeah, it was a really fantastic play, but guys, it's time to jump into game number 2, the Intel Extreme Masters New York. Curious versus Flash. Welcome to Belshir Vestige, spawning in the top left position as the red Zerg player. From Team StarTale, it is Curious. Doing quite well for himself, up 1-0 in this series, and his opponent spawning in the bottom right. We'll need to pull out something new to bring this series back. From KT Rolster, the blue Terran, it is Flash.
Can the ultimate weapon really deliver a performance to live up to the nickname presented? Not in StarCraft 2, but in Brood War. But he is the same person. Deep inside, can he do it?
That's what everyone wants to know in this situation already. A couple of issues, it actually seems like all of the PCs having a bit of difficulty, but it really is a big question as whether or not he can live up to that legacy. There's such a huge weight put on that name of Flash.
Really, really difficult for Flash to come into StarCraft 2 with the weight of the world on his shoulders. Of course, everybody expected him to give the performance that everyone expects from him, being such a talented individual, one of the best RTS players the world has ever seen. But as of right now, it's StarTale's Curious, which is the player driving the force.
And it's one of the, you got to really look at it from his perspective on that first map. It can be so difficult as a Zerg player to handle when a Terran player is just relentlessly pushing forward towards you, not stopping the aggression and just endlessly bringing that attack on. So as far as the situation for Curious goes, he's already shown that he can handle one of the most difficult positions to deal with as far as the Zerg versus Terran matchup goes. And as long as he can continue that ability to hold off the pressure in game number 2 on a bit of a smaller map, it can be a bit more difficult since the rally is closer, but still very hard if Flash can keep his macro together.
Yeah, that's you know, if Flash makes no mistakes, I think it's possible for him to win, but to pull a perfect game. Or if Curious makes mistakes. All right, so I'm not too sure what's going on here. I don't even know if we're on stream right now, but the PCs in front of us have lost internet. Flash and Curious have lost internet. So I suppose we'll have to go to a break momentarily here because I'm not too sure what's going on. And it looks like we're going to wait for a little bit here to find out what's going on. I'm not too sure. You got a commercial? All right, well, it looks like the stream is completely offline. Kalaris, it's just me, you, and New York. And Flash and Curious.
Yeah, not bad, though. We still got an awesome crowd here, I'd say.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, indeed. I actually really want to get this game underway, but there's a pause that we can't control. And we're going to have to wait for this one.
Yeah.
And both the players are as well. Do you think that Flash can win this next game?
I think it's possible, but you have to wonder if his mindset. You know, even just seeing him on the camera, he looks a bit shaken up, and I don't know if it was, you know, if he was initially knocked off by the loss that he had in that map to State earlier. But he really seems a lot more. Just his appearance is a bit more stressed than Curious. He's rather laid back.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thanks for bearing with us. I know we're not on stream right now, but everybody out there, we will continue this game in a couple of minutes' time. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters, New York City. Good job. Well done, everyone. We've got a few apologies to make, obviously, to all of the crowd here. Thank you so much for being very patient with us while we fix stuff. And also, you guys out on the internet, Mihal's with me. What did you break?
Well, I didn't break anything myself, but guys, I really thought you were all asleep by now. I would like to apologize to all of you and to everybody on stream for the delay. Luckily, it wasn't our fault, but still, we are really sorry, and I hope you get to enjoy the most fantastic games of the day. Thank you for being so loud. Thank you for being here. And I hope you make a lot of noise for these two Koreans, and Huck will be playing soon, so... So thank you for being so awesome, and once again, I apologize for the delay, and I'm not going to delay the show any longer.
All right, thank you very much. Mihal Plechas, a.k.a. Carmack, he's going to leave the stage. We're going to get straight back into the game. It's Curious versus Flash. Take it away, gents.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's time to resume the StarCraft 2 action. We're going to be jumping right back in to the game that we left off on when the internet disconnect happened. So don't worry, the Flash versus Curious game has not played out. Flash is still in his booth, and so is Curious, and we're going to start this very shortly.
Both itching to get back into the action. We've confirmed both players are ready. The countdown has started. We are back into this game. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 2 between Curious and Flash. You missed out. We had a very back and forth first game between these two players. Flash bringing an incredible amount of early pressure, and Curious just staving it off and keeping the Terran player on his side of the field.
Yeah, a remarkable game, to be honest. One thing to note, look at this. We actually have a drone moving out very, very early here from Curious. And I think he may be, I mean, there's an option here that he may try to throw down a hatchery here, but against a Reaper opening.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, if he anticipates that Flash will do something like a command center first on the high ground, This is one of those styles that players like Cats be using. And there is the proxy hatchery. Curious, he's holding nothing back for this second game of the series. He's got something special in his mind. He must have had this thought out and prepared in his head to try to pull this against Flash.
but I don't think that he was expecting Command Center first here. I'm not too sure what he was expecting from Flash. On a smaller player map like Belshir Vestige, Flash is usually opening up with a Reaper Expand here. We saw it in previous games, and from him I've seen in the past, but I think that he was maybe expecting Command Center first. You think?
It's really interesting because if you do it versus that sort of setup, it's hard to get enough to actually push that off. You can block the expansion for a very long time with creep, although usually it's used as a third hatchery that goes, at least in the style that was really popularized and used to quite success from players like Cats. But the Reaper is coming out. There was no scout made by Curious.
Oh, wow.
The Overlord sees this Reaper. The spawning pool will be done in a few seconds' time, so he can get out Zerglings and try to delay this, but this is a very interesting setup. He's even sending down a couple more drones, it looks like, on the left side of the field to maybe throw down some very quick spine crawlers on this hatchery.
That's right. That's exactly what he's planning to do here. The hatchery completes, and I wouldn't be surprised if he built a queen down here too. As SCVs are coming off the line, here come the drones, and here come the spines.
I don't know how I feel about this, Apollo. The Reaper actually gets in, blocks one of the drones from going into that spine crawler mode just yet, and there's not enough here to help these actually finish. He can force cancels on these very easily. A couple of Zerglings do come out trying to get on top of that Reaper, but the second one is here. That spine crawler, there's no chance that it'll be able to complete. He has the bunker set up. It seems like Curious was just trying to throw something here, I mean, blindly assuming his opponent would be going for the expansion and not having units out that could deal with this early.
And Flash is content by staying on one base here. I mean, he's got a factory on the way. A creep tumor has to be planted here from Curious to try to delay this expansion, but a surround from SCVs.
The Hug of Death takes out the Queen, Apollo. Very nice. Not even able to put down a creep tumor or an inject, so really limiting what he can do with this hatchery. Continuing to put out Zerglings. Curious, he has an Overlord come in now. He's taken the hatchery at his natural expansion, but a very, very awkward way to start this game for the StarTale Zerg player. And
he has to sacrifice an Overlord. You don't need to sacrifice two, though, and that may be a mistake in the main base here. There's two Overlords in there.
Yeah, Curious.
Like there's one there and there's one just north. He's got to be careful if he loses both.
A bit uncharacteristic. The two Marines might be able to catch that even if he starts to run away now. He's supply blocked.
Wait, this is a major mistake here. I mean, one I can understand because you want to know what the follow-up is. Has he got the command center in the main base? Is he building Hellions? Is he going Banshees? But two, that's a mistake.
Yeah, the Zerglings actually come up and take the bunker out, grabbing a Hellion. These Reapers having a little bit of trouble. It seems Curious has gotten something for his proxy money, but does lose that next Overlord. Still supply blocked. These Reapers very low, but no creep. They can evade the Zerglings quite easily. A Queen does finish, which means there's a potential for a creep tumor to get planted, but it just walks straight up. There's two Marines with these Reapers. The Queen picks off one of the Reapers. He's trying to move back, producing seems to be just a few more Zerglings in here. He's really trying to hold on to this base as much as he can.
What are we seeing here? I didn't expect to see something like this. A Banshee's been made. There's still no second command center for Flash.
This is a weird game, Apollo.
A creep tumor has now landed on the natural here. There's Zerglings coming out to kill the Marines, even getting the surround on them. What is this game? This is completely crazy.
We've already had a very, very weird beginning to this game. I don't know how else to say it. Feeling uncomfortable. We have Cloak on the way, though. Siege tanks. Marine production still continuing a little bit. A very interesting one-base setup. Curious is powering drones behind this, but you know, the hatchery is still technically there. He actually has built a couple of drones at that base, but it looks like he's sending them home. He doesn't want to use them to build any more spine crawlers. But with this creep tumor and the fact that the hatchery is still there, regenerating its health, it's going to delay how late he could take that base for such a long time. And I mean, the command center's only now just basically gotten underway, so he's not looking to take that base yet. But when he does, it's going to be pretty difficult.
It's going to be very difficult. That creep tumor can move around, and one scan at the moment, if there's another creep tumor that plants itself maybe to the top right, one scan won't kill all of them.
You know, it's tough. And now the Zergling's even getting in. The siege tank friendly fire dealing some damage to Flash's Marines. He does lose all of them. He still has the one Reaper, manages to get that away. There's a few more Zerglings that are going to come out here, though, trying to mess with this Reaper. But he's really done a great job of thinning out what Flash has. And I think that Banshee should be coming out in just a few seconds' time. It will have the Cloak.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, he did get a Zergling at the ramp. I'm pretty sure he knows about this Tech Lab starport. So do we have any Spore Crawlers back there?
Yeah, two Spore Crawlers have already been made here by Curious, just kind of expecting the Banshees to come across. And the game will slowly start to stabilize a little bit here. And it's been a weird one. Scans are going to have to come down. One scan will eliminate both these creep tumors. Oh no! Is he going to get both?
Yeah, the Zergling's coming in as a bit of a meat shield, forcing him to not be able to kill that creep tumor. Now it would take a second scan. If he scans right now, he could grab both tumors, though.
But I mean, that's not really what you want to be doing here.
No.
You want to be saving the energy to land the mules on the natural here.
I mean, he still spends 2 scans on all 3 tumors. The Baroncy does come in, though, trying to grab a few drone kills. Nothing serious just yet. Only 1 kill. The Queen now helping to power against this. There's the cloak. Of course, this Spore Crawler can reveal it. It's just outside the detection range. And he also sees that the lair is on the way. So this is a good amount of information that comes in for Flash, especially with no third base on the way for Curious. Really wondering where he's going to take this from here. He's now starting to poke away at the drones, gets in range of the Spore Crawler, so the Queen starts to get to work on that. But he can even, at the very least, deny this extractor. And there's still more Zerglings coming in to pressure this. This siege tank a little bit exposed.
Yeah, I think we may be seeing a 2-base Mulus come out from this. It's the only thing that makes a lot of sense at the moment.
Yeah, good versus the siege tanks, good versus the Banshee play. And another great way to harass. We saw how well Curious controlled those Mutalisks in the first game, aside from the one hiccup. Does grab another Queen here in the natural. These 2 Banshees for Flash are going to town. Between the 2 of them, they got a solid number of kills, about 6 total. Queen is going to be able to knock one of them back over, and he's going to be able to confirm that there's no third base with this Banshee. The Spire Apollo, it's on the way.
That's right, it is on the way here, and it makes the most sense considering he doesn't have any Evolution Chambers or Roach or anything at this point. We'll see how this is going to come into play. Flash has added on another factory and an armory.
Oh, goodness.
We are going to see mech here from Flash. And to be honest, I think that's really good against this Mulus opening. Yeah, I mean, imagine if that was the choice that Flash chose upon seeing the fast layer and all these gases taken. A couple of Thors being built as soon as these 2 factories, the second factory being added on. They'll push back any Mulisks.
Yeah, it gives a reasonably nice opportunity. You don't have the mobility that the bio grants you, but it's a bit of a more of a staid way to stop. And using the Banshees to clear out these towers is very nice. Kind of reminds me of the MVP-esque mech openers. You use the Banshees, deny vision, because of course the Hellions, you have to defend with them since you're not transitioning into bio. Already have 3 siege tanks. And it's actually really interesting to see. This game has been so weird, and Flash is only making it weirder. And these Banshees, they're going to come up here. There's no creep spread to actually move the Queens over towards this third to defend it just yet.
And if they were to be able to get this, this would be rather big, but there is an Overseer, so he does mobile detection. Double Queens coming down. One of them will have a transfuse very, very shortly here, but 3 Banshees.
Yeah, I don't know if he can really hold it. I mean, the 3 Banshees can almost just engage these Queens, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Does lose the weakest Banshee, but both Queens are going to die, and in turn, I don't think there's any way he can protect this hatchery. It's already low enough. The drones that came over here to mine a bit preemptive, I think. He's picking off a few more of those, almost 5-6 drone kills at this base, trying to put them in extractors to hide them, but Flash is taking a very weird dominant stance in this game.
And now Thors are being made here, and what we could end up seeing from Flash, through taking such a lead in this game, if he's able to get this hatchery, he could go for a big 2-base play. He pulls the weakened Banshee back. Does he get the hatchery? Does he get it?
It's so close. There's 2 Queens here. 6-7 Mutalisks are on the way. Oh my goodness, the hatchery solo. 27 hit points, 6 hit points. He gets the hatchery as the Banshee dies. Fantastic little play there from Flash. He does lose his Banshees, but now the Thors are out. He has something to deal with these Mutalisks. The follow-up is already covered.
And there's a 3rd command center on the way here. There's turrets being built. The Thors are already there. There's a +1 attack on the way. These Mulus, in theory, should not achieve anything here.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think the positioning of the 3rd command center is a bit outstressed, but here come the Mutas into the main base. Does stop 1 missile turret from being produced for a short period of time. The both Thors are now making their way over. He has a missile turret at both mineral lines, kind of covering around his bases, and straps the supply depot here and there, but it's going to take a little bit more to recover from what he already lost. And losing Mutalisks like that, just letting them fight on top of the missile turret.
Well, he's already decided to switch up. He knows that Mulus aren't going to cut it in this game. That Banshee should cloak here, but a little bit slow with that, but he's already switched up to the Roach Warrant. He's got the +1 attack on the way, but I feel like a big push out here considering how far Curious is behind. With turret defense, what is there for Curious to do? He has to fight that army. Yeah, he's got Roaches on the way. The Mulus won't do that much here.
Yeah, the Thors come back trying to shove this off, and Curious kind of has to do what he did in the last game, and it's weird, the difference between doing it versus bio or mech, but that mech army is much slower. If he overextends, there's not really much turning back you can do, and the Mutalisks are just doing everything possible, saying, if you want to push out across the field, great, but I'm going to bring as much pain as I can. Now, with the Thor coming out of the factory, still pumping out these Thors, he's getting that ability to shove these Mutalisks back and defend the home base. He's going for every hole that there is, but here we go. 3 Thors, 3 Siege Tanks, a good number of Hellbats and Hellions, and I think there were a few SCVs of this repairing earlier, not anymore. But this is still a pretty difficult attack to stop. Meanwhile, Curious, he's doing a nice bit of harass, but what does he have to stop this push?
He's trying to build the Roaches. He's really trying to get a high amount out, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough here. The Hellions and the Hellbats going to buffer for the tanks and the Thors at the back.
Yeah, he's starting to press in. It's just Zerglings and Roaches. There's tanks and Thors pressing forward. The +1 attack is going to finish these mech units. The blue flame, those Zerglings become effectively useless in this game. The Mutalisks are coming in, potentially going to flank these units, but there's not enough Roaches to push out these Thors. He comes in trying to get the spread on the Mutalisks to prevent the area of effect damage from doing much. He does try to snipe off one of these siege tanks. He will be able to grab at least one. There's only a single tank remaining, but the Thors will clean up the majority of that. 14 Roaches are about to come out. This might be enough to shove these Thors back.
He might be able to hold on here, Curious, by the skin of his teeth, building as many Roaches as he can. The Thor comes back, trying to micro these large units here. But will the Roaches that pop out be enough to clean up these 4 Thors? There's no backup at the moment. And Flash does decide to pull back for now. A 5th Thor joins the force.
He has a 6th Thor on the way. Really, going for the parade push with mech is a pretty scary thing to do, Apollo.
Yeah.
But he's also used this to secure himself an opportunity to grab that 3rd base. He's landed the orbital command, and also, just the other side effects of this, no creep spread really for Curious. He doesn't have the map presence. There's no Overlord spread on the field at all. He's just locked into his own side. We see a Hydralisk Den is about to start, but Flash, he's 100% in the driver's seat this time.
Yeah, I think it was a really nice decision for him to pull back, not to lose the Thors against the reinforcing Roaches, and he's completely switched up his army composition. He's building nothing but Hellbats and tanks. Tanks are going to crucify any amount of Roaches here. Curious ultimately needs to find a way to deal with this. He comes in with 2 Overseers. So contaminate the factories will slow them down, the unit production. But I don't think Roach Hydra is going to be the way to do it, because if he stays on Roach Hydra, Flash, all he needs to do is go to 200 supply and to win the game. Curious needs the Infestation Pit, he needs the Hive, he needs Vipers against this.
It's so difficult. And there's the Infestation Pit now on the way. He can start to move towards something that'll deal a little bit more effectively with this army composition. And he's starting to push in with these Roaches towards the 3rd base. He's breaking down the supply depots. The time it takes for him to penetrate this wall, though, the Thors can come up here with the Hellbats. There are enough Thors to hold off this few number of Roaches, but Curious is also grabbing himself a 4th base at the same time, getting his +2 attack. We have +2 mech attack actually lining up quite well with that. Hydralisk range, a 4th command center, 2 factories being added, and a scan from Flash doesn't reveal too much, but this pressure is still pushing in. Curious can't really find a big hole, though, to press in.
Yeah, and he shouldn't ever find a hole here. There's no way he should be able to break this, and finding a way in now is so remarkable. He shouldn't be able to get in here. There's a supply depot wall. There's tanks. There's a lot of mech units here. And being able to pick up a couple of workers here is very good here for Curious. These Roaches ultimately aren't going to last long in this game, but he needs to buy time to get to Vipers here. Flash needs tanks to defend against any counterattacks. Build up an army, hit before Vipers, win the game. That should be the goal of his.
Yeah, and it's so tough because that Hive is coming, as you stated. Curious is just pumping out drones as much as he can behind this, starting up his Carapace upgrades, getting the Hydralisk speed. And we still have these Overseers running around. As soon as they have enough energy for another Contaminate, he comes in. He's caused so far about a 60-second delay per factory on this.
He's slowing down Flash from getting to 200 supply, because that's where he wants to be. But unfortunately, through these Contaminates, it's not as fast as he'd like it. As you said, 60 seconds on both factories now.
Just a really great way to delay the Terran player, especially since those tanks are what he needs. And now, pressing in again towards this 3rd. He's looking for opportunities. The scan from Flash reveals the Hive and the Hydralisk. He knows exactly what his opponent is going for in this situation. He hasn't switched to anything like Swarmhost. He's not trying to go for anything crazy. He's going pure Roach Hydra, trying to get the Vipers to use the Blinding Clouds, the Abducts, to pick this army apart.
It's time. It is time. The scan reveals it for Flash. It's now or never. You go and try to get there before Vipers, or you fight this army with Vipers. And it's going to be a lot harder. Blinding Cloud going to prevent a lot of these units from fighting, and here comes the movement out. What does Curious do? Is he going to counterattack? No, he shouldn't, because there's tanks at home, which is the perfect way to Flash to play this. And now Curious must fight head-on against this mech army. And I don't know if I believe in the Zerg army to be able to stop this.
This will be difficult. 4 Vipers are on the way. Hydralisk speed is wrapping up. He's got a couple Banshees mixed in with this army as well. Great way, can move forward, get a bit of that scouting on the other side of these cliffs. The Hydralisks are moving towards the top of the ramp. There's the scan. SCV's here to repair. The Roach is trying to get a position. The Vipers are not out yet. They're not ready. No Blinding Clouds. And he's pressing in, trying to kite these Hellbats back, using the range, fighting away from where the siege tanks are. But Flash holding strong with his supply lead. He's not really lost much yet. Where are the Vipers going to come out? Do they have the energy yet?
They're out. They don't have the energy is the answer here. And he needs to get them ready. But it's too late here. Flash is pushing forward and in a remarkable position. He's spread really thin. The Vipers now sucking up the Extractors to have enough energy here to launch the Blinding Clouds, but I think it may be too late. Curious still a 200 supply though.
Yeah, there's 3 tanks behind these doors. He grabs 1 Thor with the abduct. Should be able to pick that off. 2 more. He's pulling in a large number of these doors. A great way to steal this out. But the siege tanks are the real problem because he's isolated the natural from the rest of the base. He can move into the main. The 3rd base, he has that lockdown. He can't engage into that. He can't engage into the 4th, but he can move into the main, pick off the tech, potentially pick off the hive, stop any more of these Vipers from coming out. And here the Thors, the Hellbats, pressing in now.
Well, Flash is really putting the pressure on at this moment. Units on the right-hand side. The army of Curious will move in once again. Picks up a couple of tanks there, another tank, 3 tanks, 4 tanks. And the Roach Hydra starting to make their way through, but unfortunately that tank line is very deep. And Flash keeps up a large supply advantage.
Trying to pressure that 4th base as well, not quite able to get it, but the hive is going to get knocked down. The Hydral Stand was destroyed. The Roach Warren bleeding out this Hellbat, about to finish it off. He's trying to rebuild the Roach Warren, but still tons of tanks and Hellbats being pushed out. He has another force already making its way over to that 4th base of Curious. He's trying to land his 4th command center at the same time, but the main base almost completely cleaned up. The Spire, all that remains, will also be destroyed. And this is a very difficult position for Curious. He's lost all of his tech. He can't really build too much more in this position.
And he's trying to do a counterattack here into the 4th base of Flash. Tanks waiting. Access denied from Curious, who is looking desperately to be able to close this up 2-0. Does not want Flash to go to game 3. Does not want Flash to get the momentum he wants. And right now it looks like that's going to be the case.
Comes in with the Blinding Clouds and a couple of these siege tanks, but they're spread so well. Still not able. There's so many Blinding Clouds. The Thors not able to fire as well, being shoved back. Curious getting a great trade here. These siege tanks aren't even a part of the fight. The Roach Hydra tumbling over this mech army. There's still a push coming in towards the 4th base on the right side, a very hefty part of the economy, but those tanks themselves are very clumped up. If there's even another Blinding Cloud, he could steamroll over this force in just a matter of seconds.
Look at the supply difference. Look at the supply difference. 160 miles supply. Another great Blinding Cloud that comes in. And these Roach Hydras are going to destroy everything.
Curious saying this is why mech doesn't work. Pressing over, swallowing this army of Flash up now. 50 supply.
Wow.
Flash, though, still has a lot of economy. He still has the planetary fortress behind it. He still has defensive siege tanks. Curious, only on 2 bases, cannot replenish as quickly as Flash will be able to if he gets time. Blinding Cloud works on the planetary fortress, but with a good spread and the use of a couple of Vikings that he's now mixing in, he might be able to hold off an assault.
I can't believe this. Curious is playing this out so well. In come the Roach Hydras. The Vipers are here. More Blinding Clouds, more Abducts. These Vipers have been alive from the get-go. Remember, the Hive was destroyed earlier. He couldn't remake them. They're finally getting picked off by the Vikings, but how much damage have they done?
A great trade for Flash, actually takes out a lot of the supply of Curious, but losing that planetary fortress big. Another abduct on the siege tanks, grabbing that. The Viking trying to grab a few of these Vipers, but even abducting those into the Hydralisks. Flash has done a great job of evening out this supply, but he still has a little bit of a way to go. These Banshees are picking off the base on the top northwest side of the map, trying to deny the economy of Curious, but if he gets over there with the Hydralisks fast enough, he could shut that down. The 4th base being rebuilt for Curious. He's very low on the econ. Flash, he does have another command center to move out towards the left side. He's actually floated his main base out towards the left 4th.
So at this point, I can't help but feel Flash's bank is going to lead him to a better place. Curious, of course, has lost so much here. The Hive, the Natural, his 4th base, this 5th, well, he's not going to stop that for Banshee. And Flash needs time. That's all he needs at this point. But of course, that's going to allow Curious to start to build himself back up. But what a crazy game this has been so far.
It truly, truly crazy. And we do still have 3 Vipers on the field for Curious. These are worth their weight in gold. He cannot engage with just Roach Hydra into the tank line that Flash is starting to rebuild. And as you say, Apollo, like the bank of gas is one of the few times the Terran player is happy to have a little bit of gas in the bank. Putting out these mech units is so heavy on those. And he's pressing out towards the right side. This is a bit dangerous here. If he gets caught out of position, these Hydras going for the counterattack. He might be able to take out this base, though, before they arrive.
Well, even that Banshee, every little bit helps here for Flash. That Banshee trying to pick off a couple of Hydralists at the back.
Tanks are so clumped.
Yeah, a couple of Blinding Clouds there, going to work wonders. That Overlord's going to deny that command center from mining, but it looks like Flash has broken another command center. Curious, another hatchery. Curious only has 1 hatchery left in the top right. He's going to lose this one.
Yeah, and Flash has actually spread out his units very, very well on that previous 4th base. The command center, he manages to save it from that right side. A couple of Hellbats trying to move up towards the northeast base. Roaches are there to block it, but this is one of those situations that the tanks are spread out too thin, and he pushes in from multiple angles. He can do a lot of damage, grabbing the Vikings with the abducts and just slowly inching these siege tanks forward. There's no anti-air to protect them.
And again, Curious still in a supply lead. Army supply. 86 for Flash, 119 for Curious here, looking for a way in. Flash scans again, has rebuilt a large army once again here. Hellbat's going to be very important but depends on where the blinding clouds are going to be as well.
Yeah, the spread as well. There's the blinding cloud covering 2 of these siege tanks. The Hellbats moving in. Banshee doing some damage, trying to pick off the Vipers. He does manage to kill off one of them, but a few of these siege tanks still unable to fire. He's pressing into the tank line. It's spread quite well, but there's so much here for Curious. Will Flash be able to stop it? This command center's coming into land once again. There's still a couple of Hydralisks, 6 of them. This command center's going to fall. Flash denied his next base once again.
All right, the key unit is dead. The Vipers are gone. There are no Vipers. There's no layer. There's no hope to get close to the unit that has saved Curious. Time after time, fight after fight. Flash now has so much time, has so much room, but he lost that command center. Now that's important for his growth with his economy. He does have another one on the left-hand side, which he's going to have to use here. But with the tanks now that Flash has, with no blinding clouds and no abducts, finally he's got rid of the Vipers. This is everything.
Yeah, and important to note, Curious, he has his lair halfway done. He's so far away, he'll need to rebuild the infestation pit as well. All he has access to right now are just roaches, and with this many siege tanks on the field, Apollo, Flash is saying, I'm ready to come try to take this game back. He does need to be careful, the roaches trying to press in as these tanks siege up. Still have to play slow and methodically with the mech force, but even the Banshee does a great job of just poking this army as it tries to waddle around.
Well, there's another thing that's missing is Hydralisks, or anti-air, should we say. With Banshees roaming around, they're going to go untouched.
Yeah, and he actually pushes these roaches in. A couple siege tanks at top of the tower, but now Flash is pressing into what was the natural now. The drone's trying to run away, but this hatchery will not be up for long. Trying to go for the counterattacks is Curious, but as you said, no Hydralisks means Flash can lift this orbital command safely, not lose it, and the natural expansion gone for Curious. He's pressing in towards that third base, towards that lair. We have a macro hatchery on the way there as well. He's mining on the left side base, but Curious, what does he have to put out that can actually stop this many siege tanks on his front door?
Well, he's got a lot of money. And he doesn't have any lava, which is the big problem here. And he comes in from these roaches. He's going to pick off these units once again here. Remember, Flash is still not mining. And Curious takes a supply lead once again, even having a larger income than his opponent, who does have the left hatchery on the left-hand side hatchery. 21 roaches to 4 tanks and 3 Banshees. Banshees crucial here, but the infestation pit and Hydralisk on the way.
Very interesting to note, we do have the roaches continuously burrowed under these bases as he knocks Flash off of them, forcing that little economy that he has to be spent on, well, trying to detect and delete and get rid of these. The roaches are moving towards the left side. He's trying to find where Flash is going to be expanding next, and the Banshee sees, he knows about this base here. The Spore Crawler and the Queen pick off that Banshee, and Curious, you said it best, he really needs to get that larva, but the infestation pit is about to complete Apollo. He'll be able to go back towards the hive and closer once again to those Vipers.
I can't believe that Curious is in this position, considering how this game went. Just remember how this game started. Flash was in prime position to win, he was going for his timing, but unfortunately the Vipers got out and the game has changed dramatically here.
So difficult. The Roach is now pressing in towards the outside of where Flash is trying to take that fourth. With this many siege tanks and having these Banshees available makes it very difficult. Curious has to balance where he's going to invest into the Vipers, into the Hydralisks, because he does need to keep a few of those anti-air units mixed in. The Banshee count is actually really nice. He has 3. He's still pulling out a 4th one, and he's been constantly trying to harass with these, abusing the range and the speed of the Roaches. And with this 4th base secured, Flash can really start to put his production back into work. He's getting Thors, which are actually cheaper to produce in the long run for this army composition, and also act as anti-air to shut down those Vipers.
Well, they're not going to do too much damage. Oh no, the Banshees. Oh, Flash, they're kind of important. Every unit is important, and he loses too. But the problem is, sure, Flash is, oh, great borrow here, but also a nice scan there. The problem is, Flash is getting back to a good army, obviously, but Curious is getting back up to Vipers again. We will not just, I mean, history will repeat itself, surely.
Yeah, it'll be just as difficult as it was the last time. I still don't think there's too many. There's still 3 Vikings. Okay, so he does have some anti-air force that can deal with this, aside from the Thors. Of course, the Vikings not affected by the blinding cloud. And you have to wonder, at what point does Curious say he wants to press in here? Both players really fighting for every inch of economy, but this mech force is just going to become so powerful. As long as Flash keeps up a production of some form of anti-air, he has the 3 Thors out now. He has the capability to really deal some heavy damage to this, and picking off another Overlord, I think there. 2 Vipers on the way, though, Apollo. These are the units that Curious is relying on so much in this match.
Yeah, and I mean, 4 Vipers, we saw what the last 4 did. Time after time, just blinding clouds, abduct, go back, get more energy, come back, do the same, and they were just worth their weight in gold, absolutely. Unfortunately for Flash, I don't think he knows that the hive is rebuilt. No, okay, so he may see, yeah, okay, he definitely does now. He just scanned to see if it has, and he's seen to the top right, the hive is ready. He sees the Vipers. Can he really take a fight here?
It's going to be really tough. He needs to have a perfect tank spread and just watching out once you spread those tanks out for the abducts, which he can use on the Vikings, use them before to start to slow the anti-air down. And now look how much he's spreading himself out as he sieges up towards the top right base. The Banshees themselves are actually going to pick this hatchery off potentially.
Not quite, as the Hydras come to save the day and picking off those two Banshees, but the units, the MVP units of the game are back.
Yeah,
4 Vipers, and we are going to see some nasty use of them very shortly, unless these 3 Vipers can stop them.
Yeah, these Vikings are doing what they can. They do bonus damage versus these Vipers. They count as armored. It's just difficult to get in that position because with the Hydralisks, if he abducts even 1 or 2 of the Vikings, then boom, taking out the Hydras, get under the Vikings, taking out 1, 2, potentially the 3rd Viking, barely manages to get away. There are a few more here. Flash is now double producing them at a time. He still has 2 left. He's lost 3 though. This makes it harder and harder for him. But as long as he keeps the tank spread, the Blinding Clouds are only going to be so effective in this situation.
Scan up above the main army for Flash, just kind of looking for the army, and he's moving closer and closer towards the hive. Curious is going to be forced into a fight soon. Flash is preparing himself. He's got a decent amount of Vikings now. A couple of Hellbats though. Ooh, it's a little bit.
Big loss. He has the siege tank spread out though now. He's trying to press in a bit. The Vikings doing the best that they can to zone away these Vipers. There's 2 abducts, pulling them in. A 3rd siege tank gets grabbed. The Hellbats not able to do too much to save their comrades. And now Flash is stepping up. He does need to be very worried. The Vikings trying to get some shots off on these Vipers. All 4 are still alive. The Thors holding the front. I really like this, keeping the Thors as close as he can to try to grab the Vipers, but has to worry about the abducts at the same time. Flash needs to be so patient with how he pushes out. The area of effect Blinding Cloud is so strong in situations like this.
Well, still, Flash moving forwards to find a way to make this work. Currently mining very similar to each other. Couple of Vipers exposed. Oh, one of them gets picked off there. That's a nice pick off. Tanks again spread very nicely here for Flash, going all the way back to the Xel'Naga in the middle of the map, waiting and baiting for his opponent to move down. And Flash, now confident to fight against these Vipers, finally.
Yeah, I mean, he has a decent force. He had some siege tanks set for a little bit of a surround. He does manage to almost grab 1 of these Vipers with the Vikings. They're very high on that energy. 2 more just finished, so it's a total of 5 Vipers now, making it quite difficult. With max energy, they can cast 2 Blinding Clouds. He's almost going to Blinding Clouds for all of his siege tanks that are currently at that front. Now he's trying to continue to spread them. He just needs to be so careful. It's incredibly difficult to deal with this Blinding Cloud.
Well, it looks like Curious is going to move down south. May pick off a couple of units here. He did have a Roach on the Xel'Naga, so he sees these moving down. Picks off 1 tank for free. Oh, nice move hit. That's all he needed. A couple of Roaches, he broke that. That's a completely naked base.
That's all the mining that Flash has too, and he's pressing the only mining base of Curious at the same time. He's pressing in. Curious is going for the main base. These SCVs left bare. The Vipers, of course, still there with covering the army, being prepared for that. So he'll be able to take out the last mining base of Curious. He's moved to a hatchery in the bottom left. There's a Hellbat and a siege tank here that can see this. Supply-wise, Curious has a nice advantage, and it's all going to come down to whenever there's an actual final engagement. It's going to be really crazy.
Neither of them are mining. Neither of them have any money. Another tank for free here. There's no income at all. 0, 0, 0, 0 at this point. It's going to come down to the fight. 1 Viper already gets picked off, and the return 2 Vikings get destroyed. But how is this fight going to go down?
It's going to be really tough. Curious, he's kind of playing with fire here. The Thors are moving up, but there's the abducts. He's playing this very patiently. There's so much energy left on these Vipers. The Vikings managed to grab 1 of them. Very nice. The other one looking for an abduct, but needs to be careful with how much energy they have to actually use the Blinding Clouds. This is basically the last mining area for Curious. If he can knock this down, and even weirdly enough, there was no income at all in this game. There's still the potential for buildings to lift, as there's no flying units that can deal damage. The Spire was destroyed a long time ago. Hatchery falls. Drones are running away.
Another Viper. There's only 2 left here. And if Flash gets rid of all the Vipers, the game will be over. There's no way these Russian Hydras, unless all the tanks are unsieged and he makes a mistake, can win. So the Vipers are so crucial for Flash to find.
And Curious is trying to retake that topside base. The drone's headed there. The siege tanks are super clumped. He's coming in with the Vipers. There's the Blinding Cloud. They're not siege, though. Trying to siege during this fight. And all the energy actually expended. There's only 1 more Blinding Cloud available. He needs to get a perfect hit on these clumped tanks in order to be able to make that useful.
And it doesn't look like there's any Vikings left. There's 1 somewhere, but it's on the other side of the map. And Flash is going to chase this down. Remember, he has +3 attack on these units, doing a lot of damage here. Curious, where are you going? He's going to turn around. He's going to fight.
Very dangerous situation to be in, Flash. It's one of those situations you almost always want to have at least a couple of tanks sieged with your force. It's been such a back and forth scrappy game, even with the supply deficit. If he walks into these tanks, there's still that potential for Flash to pull this supply deficit back. The drone's staying alive. The Vipers are feeding. They're getting their energy back. The Queen's coming up, transfusing these forces and making them even stronger. The Thors are here. They spot this base, but can Flash make this push to shut down Curious once and for all?
Does Curious go for a fight here? This is a very heavy spread of tanks once again here by Flash. Curious looking, he may just try to use it cost efficiently. Yeah, 1 or 2 units at a time. Nice move there by Curious. He picks off both of the Thors. Does lose a couple of his units, but again, he can go back, get some more energy. Having these 2 Vipers, very cost efficient at this point.
And Curious, once again, just playing the game of building his base wherever Flash's army is not. The top left side, long distance mining to that hive. Flash is scanning for it. It's so difficult to press into this. He doesn't have the anti-air that he needs to shut this down. He doesn't have any income. He's just landed a command center on the left side of the map. He can put a couple of mules there, but he needs the gas to get Vikings to continue to bolster the mech army. This isn't a composition that can work with just minerals.
Yeah, I mean, all that Curious needs to do, I feel here. Obviously, Flash needs to get rid of the Vipers, but he doesn't have any money to build more Vikings. He's now mining on the left-hand side, by the way, so he is starting to get an income back. But Curious just needs to pick off the loose units at the back, use the Vipers, bring them in, and that's, well, a couple of Roaches get picked off there, Roach and a Hydra, I think. But with good use of these Vipers and good micro, he's going to whistle down Flash's army. It's going to get really small. Just 1 tank here, 2 tanks there. And here we get another good move from Curious, or looking for it at least.
Yeah, there's the
Just 1 tank, just 1, then he could get another one here.
Thor's trying to shove them away. Of course, that Thor itself is a primary target. There it goes, gets grabbed into the Roach Hydra, immediately picked off every unit Flash loses. Is worth so much. Another siege tank gets grabbed, grabs another one. These abducts just so good. These energy-based units in the low econ situations are so powerful.
And here we have Curious just playing this out very well. He's taking a big supply lead. 18 Zerglings coming in. I think Curious is no longer going to play the game of snatching units. With 18 Zerglings, he may just go for the kill now. Zerglings wrapping around tanks where there are no Hellbats left. There's 2 Hellbats.
Yeah, and even using the Overseer contaminating this command center. He's been using Contaminate a lot in this series, just blocking any level of production, be it economy or the regular infrastructure. We have a Widowmine coming out for Flash. He's trying to get up another missile turret to help cover against this Viper play. He doesn't have the anti-air that he wants. Still dropping the mules at this base. And you said it. No, we have a couple Hellbats. Not really too many, though. They have the Blue Flame and the +3 against these Zerglings. They're going to take them out in 1 hit. But it's still very difficult to actually take these fights. Now he sprinkles a few forward. He could try to actually bait out some of the siege fire. Hellbat does clean up a few of these. And Flash, he's just holding on desperately to this mining base. I feel like it's one of those situations he can't really afford to move out at all anymore.
Oh, 2 tanks up for grabs. 1 and 2. Nice there. And he is going to pick off both of them nice and easy. But, oh, a Viking gets picked off as well there. He's got to be careful not to lose too many units. But again, nice play here from Curious, just wearing his opponent down, and Flash is in trouble. He needs more Vikings, he's building more Vikings, but Flash is now mining on the left-hand side. Likewise, he's Curious, though.
Yeah, I mean, he gets a Widowmine on the right side, burrowed there, unfortunately killed before it could detonate. And this is a fully saturated base now for Curious. He's feeling a lot better about himself. He has the income. He had the supply lead pretty much all throughout this game after the first couple of fights. So as long as he can replenish his forces a little bit, and he's coming a little bit closer to this ramp, Flash unsieging his tanks, stepping forward. He doesn't really have too much more. He only has 6 siege tanks versus 18 Hydralisks and 9 Roaches.
Yeah, this is, and more Roaches on the way, 6 about a pop. This has been an absolutely fantastic game from Curious, considering the deficit he was at the start, and how he's crawled his way back in, using the Vipers to the best efficiency we've probably ever seen Vipers to be used. And once again here, he's going to do the same again. 2 tanks, get over there, you're gone. And again, Flash down to just 4 tanks. To be honest, I don't even think he needs to use Abduct anymore. He's worn his opponent down so much that he could just go for a straight-up kill, but of course that is risky. There's a lot on the line. Curious wins this. He's going to the round of 8 in first place in Group C. And what a game that Curious has had.
Yeah, Flash is getting himself in this kind of, trying to get into some sort of chokehold position on this base where most of Curious's forces are, but it's only at Curious's leisure that he's allowed to stay there because, as you said, he has so much here. He could try to blast down this ramp, which could go down from both sides. Curious taking the bottom right base. He has that right side base mining. He's already reinforcing, starting to rebuild the units that he has. He never lost that second round of tech that he'd produced, so every dollar he gets immediately gets spent. And he's trying to press forward with these tanks, but there's another Abduct. He's just going to continue to chew this apart. The Hellbats are trying to get in position, but he can't engage this just yet.
And look at the bank that Curious has. He can build a lot more Roaches here. to back up the units he already has. Flash is trying to push these units into a corner, but I think that may backfire soon.
Yeah, I mean, these Vipers will soon have enough energy for the blinding cloud, and at that point, they can just walk over this. There's usually abducts anyway, grabbing these siege tanks. Only 3 remain to cover this base. The scan from Flash, he sees what's here. I don't know if he knows how much is on that right side, though. The hatchery gets picked off, so he can't use the consume anymore. But Curious, he has so much going from on the other side of the field, building more Vipers now.
Well, Flash is trying to catch these units at this base, but Curious moves forward. 1 tank gets picked off. There's 3 behind it as well as the 2 Hellbats up front, but they're gone as well. But look, I mean, Curious has just done it. GG, what a game from Curious.
An amazing series, really. Some clever play in it. Yeah, you said it yourself, Paul. It just looked so damn good for Flash at the start with that failed really aggression that he brought there, and fantastic play.
Curious is happy with that win there as he fist pumps into the audience, and we will have a winner's interview very shortly. But a good game from Curious, very good indeed. Absolutely fantastic, and Flash will fall down to the final match of Group C and will have to play out once more tomorrow. But it is Curious who is the victor of Group C.
It's great games all around. Apollo really showing us against a style that we don't see too often. We do not see too many players go mech versus Zerg. I kind of mentioned at the start of this, if Flash was going to throw out a curveball build, it would be mech. He's used it a couple times recently. But generally, you know, the mechanical play on Frost, it didn't work. Tried on Belshir, and I'm kind of wondering if that was reactionary based on just how crazy that game opened, or Flash had said in his mind, I'm going mech this game no matter what.
Yeah, I have to feel that maybe reactionary, just the way the game played. Tank production early on, scouting out 2-base layer, mech is so good against it. And I really think that Flash could have won that game if it wasn't for the Viper. The Viper, the ultimate counter to mech when it comes to playing that matchup. And as we saw, that was the case.
Yeah, it's so difficult to get the setup in a low economy situation where Flash couldn't produce Vikings to kill them off. It's the same thing as dealing even with some units like Infestors, just slowly chipping away at you, not taking the direct fight, but using the abilities where possible, just rebuild the energy, and then the next thing you know, they're right on top of you once again.
Vipers, the key unit in Curious, moving on to the round of 8. A good position for him to be in, and he joins 2 fantastic players already that have made it to the round of 8. That's 3 great players that are already certified into the round of 8, but that means there's a lot of now players that will fight for death tomorrow. Group A, B, and C now have the matches lined up for tomorrow. The last couple of games, the final match from each group to determine who will join the first place. But of course, before we get into all that, we have Group D still to finish tonight. Hug's going to play tonight.
Yeah, it'd be great to see one of our final foreign players competing here at the Intel Extreme Masters New York. He's got a big road ahead of him. That group is pretty tough.
It's a very tough group, and now it's time to hear from the winner on stage.
Thank you, guys. Yes, terrific match. First of all, well done, Curious, brilliant game. Second game, I think we have to talk about the second map before we talk about the first map. Vipers firstly, which is great to see. We don't see them very often, but can you tell us from your point of view just how difficult it was to break down Flash in game 2?
먼저 이 경기부터 이야기를 해야 될 텐데 아주 굉장한 살모사 플레이를 보여줬어요. 근데 그 안 좋은 상황에서 이기기 위해서 얼마나 어려운 경기였어요, 그게? 얼마나 어려운 경기였어요?
사실 그 노베럭 더블 커맨드를 노리고 그 상대방 앞마당에 부하장을 짓는 부하장 러시를 했는데 사실 사신인 거 보고 이번 판은 그냥 손을 풀겠다 그냥 그런 생각을 하게 됐는데 거기서 생각외로 이득을 보게 되면서 할만해져서 운영을 가게 됐어요.
색더블 예상했어요? 네. I expected that he would do a no barracks fast expander as his natural first, but when I saw he had gone for Reaper, I was kind of like, well, this hasn't gone well, but I'll just play this game out, and just in terms of like getting my hands, getting my hands ready, kind of warming up. But as I played it out, it actually kind of became playable. So I just took it to a long game, took it to a macro game.
Yeah, it was a very long game indeed. Having beaten Flash, I mean, Flash is not the kind of Flash that we remember from Brood War. Where do you rate Flash right now for StarCraft 2?
이영호 선수가 스타1에서는 명성이 굉장했는데 지금 그 스타2 실력을 평가하면 어느 정도 돼요?
뭐 제가 감히 평가를 할 수는 없지만 오늘 같은 경우에는 저 같은 경우에는 사실 뭐 테란이라면은 뭐 이영호 선수든 상관없이 어떤 선수여도 자신이 있었어요. 그래서 오늘 이길 자신이 있었고 근데 이영호 선수가 원래 저보다 뛰어난 선수이기 때문에 뭐 제가 평가하고 뭐 그럴 급의 선수는 아닌 것 같아요.
I can't dare rate Flash, but personally, I'm very confident against Terran, and he's Terran. So no matter what Terran I place, I'm confident I can beat him. But honestly, like Flash is a player who's above me, and he's not someone I should be rating.
That's very kind of you to say so. Ladies and gentlemen, Curious is our winner and will advance to the quarterfinal. Congratulations to him. And right now, break that one down, Kalaris.
The ZVT monster that is Curious claims another victim. There's a ton to talk about throughout the second game, more so than the first one. And we're just gonna, before we get into more StarCraft action as quickly as possible here, we're just gonna briefly take a look at exactly what happened at the very beginning. Now, the proxy hatch is something that, as the commentators mentioned, is something that goes against normally the command center first. Now, it's interesting that we saw Curious employ this against the barracks initial opener. There was the bunker here, which was actually extremely important for Flash whilst being able to deal with this. If he didn't have that, and the Zlings were out there trying to shoo back these Reapers from that point on, without that bunker, they would have had no actually retreat path to get back to, and that would have worked out. Also, there was a slight mistake from Curious with that first queen, obviously. Trying to get that initial creep tumor out and then deny that was very, very important for him. So obviously had to spend a little bit more minerals than he was really, really wanting to afford. And then from there, Curious was slightly behind. We even heard him in the interview there point that out. But one thing that was very, very evident for me going from game 1 to game number 2 is that Flash realized, all in all, that his opponent is very good against Biomine, Widowmine. We saw that in the Korean qualifier from Curious, dealing with innovation, and now Flash in game number 1. So we ended up seeing this mech style try to be branched out from Flash there, and it almost worked, just barely almost worked. But in the end, obviously, we saw Curious masterful command of being able to keep himself mobile, always being on the edge of the battle, never really taking that active straight battle once everything unfolded in this crazy 50-some minute game. So that's going to do it, guys. I want to keep it a little bit short. We want to get more games on the way for you today. And for now, we'll send it over to Red Eye on the stage.
Yes, thank you very much, Kalaris. A nice little wrap up there of that game. And don't go too far away, because next up on stage, it's time to head off to Group D. And it's time for another North American hero. You'll be cheering for Huck. We'll see you in a few.